I try to tell you how I feel, and your response to me is unreal. And do you hear me anyway? The things you think are alright, I'm sure they help you sleep well at night. But when you wake, was it a dream or a nightmare? We're at a crossroad once again, between the enemy and our friend. Which way we'll go, time will tell. You say my words you don't understand. You move along just like you had planned. But can you stop to see the wake? I see the wreckage through the waves, from the way each one of us behaves. Throw out a line to save a life. It seems we've been here once before, and we're still miles and miles from the shore. And do you hear me anyway? Welcome back to my introverts version of exploring Big Bend National Park. Believe it or not, some of the most intense scenarios are experienced in tents, and I'm just using that as a play on words. Some people get it, some people don't care for it, whatever. I'm not looking for the critics so much as I'm looking for bringing a smile to your face, whoever's out there watching this. The song that I just shared with you is called Anyway, and it basically goes on to say tells a story about how I feel when I try to tell someone how I feel, and they're not really listening. You've probably been there before. Like maybe you're at a restaurant, you're talking with your family, and the elders, let's just say the elders, are preoccupied with either looking at their smart devices or getting the receipt. And so even though you're in the middle of sharing a story with them, all of a sudden they have to look at their device, or they have to talk to so-and-so. They'll tell you, I'm listening, keep on talking. I'm listening, don't worry about it. But they'll keep on doing whatever they were doing because they're not really listening. So it's kind of what that story is about. It's a story written as a song. Some people would just call it a poem and say it was good, and they won't even really read the words, honestly, to be able to tell you what it was about. But for the people who are able to listen to these type of things, usually you're an introvert. You're someone that can reflect on not only yourself, but also how other people are feeling. Because of that, you absorb a lot of energy from other people. And so if you're hanging out with people that are just always, I guess, putting down other people, sharing gossip, things like that, well, some of that's going to get to you. And if you're an introvert, if you're someone who really just likes to broadcast everything and share whatever, in a way that is almost like to get you attention for talking about other people's downfalls, well, that's going to take away energy from you. And then you have circumstances such as what I feel from my perspective that I'm going through, and that is that I feel like I'm an introvert who has valued their time very much, to the point where when I share time with other people, even people who maybe you might not normally share time with, I try to make it count. And today, while I was here at Big Bend National Park doing my introvert's version of a getaway, I ran into two people that I know here. So just like the last time I was here, there was someone here in the same park at the same time who I've actually been here with before. And today I was able to meet up with some people who I've met up with in this area before as well, and also in other areas. And it was really cool because we were each thinking about each other minutes before we saw each other. And I touched on the word synchronicity. I said, have you ever heard of synchronicity? And the other person said, I have now. I asked that to someone else in the past that I met with in this park, and they said, they've never heard of that, synchronicity. You're watching this video right now, you're hearing a story, you're hearing me tell you that I have deep concerns about people who aren't listening. And in those concerns, I found that some people are starting to make a bunch of mistakes. They're getting lost, they're getting each other lost, and they're also losing touch with being able to communicate. And so some of that story I've shared here. Some people think it might be too much information. Some people might think it's not enough information. And for everyone else, I would say that those people that really wanted to know the story have drawn into the circle of communication to actually talk about these things, or they've tried to respond with their own art, song, whatever. And these are things that have really happened on via this platform. So as an introvert, I really enjoy the YouTube platform, and I got kind of fed up with it because I was posting videos and people would just keep saying these negative things over and over. And I had a feeling that they were someone from within my group who I've known for a long time. And so I basically shut off comments. So that's why you can't comment on this video. But at a certain point in time, I might turn that ability back on. But for right now, what I wanted to do was to let the people who are listening listen without having it marred by commentary from the peanut gallery, who is not very fresh with their observations anyway. And so I mentioned that because I had a dream recently about some fresh peanuts. And this morning I had some other dreams about the last dream was about an extension cord catching fire next to a computer. And I'm not sure if that's relevant to you, but I know that it's one of those things that it was so vivid and so memorable that it made me take note and look at my gear to make sure I didn't have any fire hazards around. But in the meantime, I'm so tempted to log on so that I could upload some of this stuff, mostly because I'm running out of space on this device. I've had to go back and delete things so that I could capture new things, and I want to have space because I don't know what I'm going to run into, but the less space I have, the more likely it is that I'm going to run into that scene where it's like, oh, I wish I could have recorded it, but I wasn't able to because my device's storage was full. Anyway, with all of that in mind, Anyway is the name of the song that I just played you. And even though I'm laying low and trying to not interact with many people, I already ran into two people today. All I was doing was switching campsites, but went to go look for the bobcat that normally hangs out here. A friend of mine who was here the last time got to take pictures of it, and I gave them credit in the other video so that you can see that if you want to. But anyway, all of these things are things that are occurring, even though it might not be occurring to anyone else, that everything that we're seeing has been very challenged. And we can see it if we just pay attention for a moment to what we're looking at, just how stressed these areas are. And maybe we can see it when we pay attention to one another, just how stressed each of us are. And so for the people with their heads in the sand who aren't able to communicate at this point in time, that's okay. Eternity will be a long enough time, I assume, to have these conversations. If you're wanting to have conversations with whoever you're with in eternity, if that's even a thing. But beyond that, it can feel like an eternity when you're talking to someone who is not able to pay attention and who can't remember the conversations you had or what the things that were talked about were about. So I know, again, that this might be complicated for some people. It's probably too much or not enough about Big Bend, too much about something else, but and not enough about Big Bend. But for the ultimate introvert traveler experience, I strongly recommend spending some intense time trying to translate some of the things that you're feeling into something you can share with one another that can resonate at a different level. Until next time, thanks again for subscribing. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff.